Hey, Mr. Gibson here, and we're going to start our project on tessellation. So that's kind of the natural progression from tile work is into tessellating these tiles, but we're going to do it in a little different way. We're going to use the artist M.C. Escher as inspiration, okay? And so today you'll need to make a square. This is one I made out of cardboard. I taped to glued some paper to some cardboard, and then I just cut out a square. And then later in the video, you'll see how to create that tessellation. But go ahead and look at the art and get some ideas in your head and make a tessellation. That's what we're doing today. So we're probably going to take you some time to make this. So you have this class to get it started, and next week's class to finish it up, and we'll turn them in at the end of next week's class. So this is a 2-class project, today and next week. So there's a lot to do. Watch the whole video. You can skip through me working. I tried to fast forward it so it's a lot quicker. It is a longer video, but this is a pretty in-depth art project, so take the time to know what you're doing, okay? Have fun. Okay, we have our tile here to create a tessellation, or a card, I should say. And to create one of these, I used some graph paper and I glued it to a piece of cardboard, and then I cut it out. You could just draw this on paper, and then you could glue it to cardboard and cut it out there. So what you're going to want to find is some thicker paper or a piece of cardboard, but you don't want a terribly thick piece of cardboard. So hopefully you have something like that around. You couldn't just use regular paper, but the tracing part that I'll get to will be just a little trickier if the paper is really thin. Okay, and so to make this tessellation, we'll need to address this tile. And you can see I have highlighted this edge with yellow and this edge with orange. That'll make sense here in a little bit. So what I need to do is I need to make a drawing using one line on 2 edges, okay? And so that looks like this. I'll start on this edge and I'll just create any old type of line, okay? An interesting line. And then I need to make a line that fills on the yellow as well. And so I'll just take this and that'll do it. We want to fill up the middle of this, of the paper. And now I need to cut this out. Okay, so now is the tape part. All right, I got a little tape here. I'm going to tape these to their opposite edges. Okay, so this goes to this side. See, that's lined up perfect, the same as over here. Actually going to tear this tape a little. Graph paper is good for so many things. I highly recommend, if you don't have any, that you get some. All right. You can see my paper's coming off a little bit. That's okay, as long as the cardboard's intact. Now, this is a much thicker. I'm going to have to trace this, remember? So this tracing will be a lot easier to complete when I have a thicker template to trace. All right, and here's a little trick. Put the tape on there first, all right, and then match it up. Right there, right there. We'll do it. Flip it over. Secure the back a little bit. I like to do both sides. It just makes it a little more stable. All right, but I don't want any tape hanging off the edge here, so you got to be careful with that. All right, seems pretty good. All right, so there's one tile that I can tessellate repetitively, okay? So we'll do that part next. Okay, so here we are with our cutout puzzle piece, tessellation, that we're going to create a pattern with, and a piece of blank paper. All right, so what I need to do is fill this paper up with this pattern. These will fit into each other perfectly, and let me show you how this is going to work. You can start right in the center, but I like to kind of turn it slightly. You can kind of see my original square in here still, but I want to turn that slightly. I just like a little bit of a diagonal. If you don't like that, then you don't have to do that. But do start in the center, right? And so I'm just going to carefully follow my pencil around here so I get all the little spaces, all right? Go lightly. Go right around every little bit here. Now, this is why it's important to have a thicker piece of cardboard or card stock or something that's thicker than just the paper. It's really hard to trace just a piece of paper around. It's flimsy. It will give you a little bit of a hassle. Okay, so try to find something that's thicker that you can create this on. Right, and so you can pull it away, see your progress. Okay, push everything back in there. Keep going. You want to fill the whole thing up. All right, right through there, around these little curves. All right, and feel free to, if you don't quite get all these lines, you can always do a little freehand fill if you need to. Just be really careful. All right, so there's my tile. As you can see, this is going to fit in perfectly all the way around. Okay, see, I can put that on all four sides of this pattern, right? And so here's a good chance before you start into the pattern is you could kind of start to imagine what this could be now, right? This is a little different than MC Escher. He has I'm not sure if he had an exact object in mind or it just kind of came to that object, but we kind of have a random object. And so we can turn this until I see something that kind of catches my eye, something that kind of catches my imagination, right? And so I'm already starting to see potentially maybe a wolf head right here. You see the snout with the mouth and the little ear kind of perked up. That could be a possibility. I could see a face over here with a nose and the little brows of the eye, and this could potentially be a lip or a chin. Or maybe these are mountains and I want to do something more nature-like. If I turn it this way, I might see something different. Yeah, I definitely see more of a mountain range when I turn it this way. Maybe this is a mountain reflected into a lake or something. So there's a lot of possibilities if you let your imagination go. We'll get to that stuff in a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and trace around here and show you how this looks when it's all filled in. Make sure when you trace, you're lining all your edges up, being very precise about this. You're going to continue right off. And if you think about it, the only time you ever have to trace the entire tessellation is the first time. As you start working your way around, you won't have to trace the whole thing, just parts of it to fill in your gaps, okay? So I'm gonna let this video go real quick so we can get to the next part. Okay, so I started to trace my outlines, but I wanted to kind of hold up for a second and let you know that before you trace your outlines, you might want to go in here and draw in here first. So potentially there may be lines that I want to pull off of here to make this look like a face or a mountain range or whatever I need to do. So you can draw in here first and then do the outlining second, okay? And so what I could do is I originally thought this looked kind of like a wolf. And so I might come in here right in this area and make like a little wolf. Maybe I want some wolf eyes right here, a little snout right there. I want to bring this line in a bit potentially, right? And so I can start to kind of play with this design here a little bit. And it's abstract. This is a weird version of a wolf. I understand. Maybe this is his little paw here. Okay, and so what I want to do is make kind of an abstract, weird version of whatever I'm seeing. Okay, and then I can go in here, do my outline, then add my color, and make sure everything's going to look the way I intend it to look. If coming up with a design is a little too difficult for you, then you can just create a pattern in color and use just this as a shape, like a checkerboard, so to speak, if you kind of imagine what a checkerboard looks like, or a chess set board. And you could do it that way. But I highly suggest that you try to turn these into some type of an object, an animal, a thing, a person, a place, anything you can come up with. Look at those MC Escher ones to get some inspiration and how he came up with ideas on what his tessellations looked like. But I'm going to go ahead and go through here and draw a little bit. Just want a little indication that it's a wolf. I don't need a ton of detail, just something to make it a little more interesting than just these random shapes. Okay, so I got all my wolf details in there, and make sure as you're doing this that you're kind of keeping a count on things. So I made sure I had 3 little indications of fur texture here, 2 here, and so I was counting as I was going. 3 toes. It helps keep everything simple, and keep it simple like that. All right, now I can go back in here, and now I'm going to do the tracing of all these pencil lines, and set myself up for just a bunch of coloring. That's the next and pretty much the last step. You could color first and outline second. You don't have to outline at all. This is just how I want mine to look. What you do need to do is have color in some kind of a pattern. It can be a simple pattern, but it does need to be a pattern with color. So let's get to that part now. Well, the line part, then the color part, sorry. Okay, so here we are. We have all the lines traced. I think I might have missed a couple, but I'll pick those up as I color. But definitely a marathon of outlining for sure. You might want to do this in stages, but I wanted to get it all done in one swoop for you so you could see what it looks like. Now it just comes to coloring, and so I'm going to create a pattern that makes these all kind of emphasize and stand out. They're different patterns I created, okay? And so I can make maybe the eye will be the same color in all of them, but I'm probably going to alternate the fur color on the rest. So here is how to fill in a color pattern on your tessellation. Okay, so that does it. Come up with your tessellation, create your own pattern, make your own designs, and use whatever colors you have available to you, okay? But get that card made and get the tessellation pattern started, and then you can do the coloring part next week if you want to save that part for then. But kind of do this in stages. Don't burn yourself out too quickly, okay? But take your time, make it look nice, and I look forward to seeing them on Padlet, okay? Have fun with this.